5 weeks, 6, 7, and 8 weeks, more or less. So these are all color-coded. So as we look at this one, here's the frontal nasal process, this kind of rose color. That's the nasal placode. We drew those in because it wasn't on the model. So there's the nasal placode right there. There is the maxillary process. There's the mandibular process. So this frontal nasal process, this and that's the first arch. Now if you look at the nerves, that's V1, V2, V3. There's the first pharyngeal cleft right there. That's the facial arch or the second arch or Reichert's arch. There's the second cleft, first cleft, second cleft. There's the third arch, fourth arch. There's the stomadeum. Now, if this is before the 28th day, that pointer is right against the buccopharyngeal membrane. After that, it breaks down. But recall that this thing has folded. And the heart bulge, the heart, developing heart, was actually anterior to all of that. Okay, actually out ahead of that buccopharyngeal membrane, which was the prochordal plate. In fact, on that one slide of the branchial arches, you can see the developing heart and the developing liver right underneath those branchial arches. Okay, so right there, that's the optic placode. We don't have the otic placode on this model. That's going to form the lens, the sclera, and also the cornea. And the otic placode is going to form the internal ear. Okay, so this one comes from a different company, not quite the same. We still have that frontal nasal process right there. There's the maxillary process, mandibular process. There's the facial arch or the second arch, and we can see the auricular hillock starting to form. And that would become the external auditory meatus. But on that frontal nasal process, we can see the development of that medial nasal process and the lateral nasal process surrounding the nasal pit, which is sinking down into the substance of the embryo. Still have a stomadeum. These things are going to drift towards the midline and fuse along the midline, and with the maxillary process, which is also going to grow towards the midline. That's supposed to be the developing eye. Not a very good representation. This is the light one. You see it's hollow. Okay, so as we go on to the next one, we got some more development here. Frontal nasal process still. The medial nasal processes have fused along the midline, not quite complete in this embryo. They're going to grow downward and fuse eventually, normally, with the maxillary process. So lateral nasal process, medial nasal process, and right there, that's the nasolacrimal groove. Now that's going to sink as a solid cord and then become patent. There's that maxillary process, still have a stomadeum. There's the mandibular arch, facial arch, the second arch, and there are those auricular hillocks again. 3 on that side, 3 on this side. So the innervation of these 3 is going to be from what? V3. And those are going to be from facial nerve. Yeah. Okay, so that's pretty much complete. And as we go over to this one, we have nearly complete fusion of those 2 medial nasal processes, almost with the maxillary process. These are going to grow over even more and fuse with those medial nasal processes. That nasolacrimal duct is sunk into the mesenchyme, so it's gone. There's the developing eye. And right over here, those auricular hillocks are starting to blend together, and they will reconstruct that external ear. So you get the helix, the antihelix, the tragus, and the antitragus. Okay. Any questions on those? look just like the diagrams in the book, right? Diagrams in your textbook I don't think I like quite as much as the ones that I handed out. Okay, so that's that, and these will be on the lab practical. Questions? No?